All right, let's talk about a word you probably use every single day, but maybe don't fully get, the preposition from. We're going to dive in and really master this thing.
So if you're learning English, there's a really good chance you immediately translate from to just one single idea, right? From a place. But you know what? If that's all you're thinking, you are missing out on the huge dynamic picture of what this little word can do.
So today we are going to completely shatter that old stereotype. We're going to give you a brand new mental model that will let you actually see what from is doing in a sentence. It's going to be a game changer.
And you know what? It all boils down to two simple but super powerful concepts. Seriously, that's it. Forget everything else for just a moment and focus on these two words: origin and separation.
This right here, this is basically the DNA of the word from. It always points back to a starting point, an origin, and then it shows some kind of movement or a state of being away from it, a separation.
So here's the crucial point. From now on, every single time you see the word from, I want you to picture an arrow. From is the place the arrow is launched from, and the arrow itself, that represents the separation, the journey away from that point.
Okay, you got the theory? Good. Now let's really put this core concept to the test. We're going to walk through 4 very common scenarios where you'll see this origin and separation idea in action.
So this first one is probably the one you already know best. This is when from sets the starting point, either in a physical place or a point in time. It's the literal start line for whatever is happening. Here's a perfect everyday example. This sentence doesn't just mean you're at your home. It means your work is originating at your home and extending outwards from there. And this is the perfect way to visualize it. Your home is the base camp. That's the origin. And the work you're doing, well, that's the arrow, extending out from that point of origin. All right, let's move on to scenario number 2 and see how this builds. This is where from describes what something is made of, but, and this is key, only when that material has been completely transformed. Think of it like a total makeover. I mean, think about it. You can't look at that juice and see the original kale leaves or a whole apple, can you? No way. The original ingredients have been totally changed. They are the origin, but the final product is entirely separate in its form. This visual shows it perfectly. A blender causes a complete physical transformation. That total separation from its original state is exactly why we have to use from. Now this one's a little more abstract, but trust me, the logic is exactly the same. From can also point to the origin of a thought, a judgment, or a conclusion. It's like the evidence that leads you to an idea.
So here, the origin of my judgment is the look on your face. My conclusion, the idea that you had fun, is a separate thought that stems from that evidence.
Think of yourself as a detective. You're using a magnifying glass to pull clues, the cause for your judgment, from the scene. And in this case, the scene is a person's happy expression. The expression is the origin. The judgment is the separation. And that brings us to our final scenario, using from to show prevention or to separate two different things. Here, from acts kind of like a barrier, almost like a force field. In this sentence, the rain is creating a separation. It's putting up a wall between us and the action of going out. We're on one side, the activity is on the other, and from is what's keeping us apart. This visual is key. From isn't just some abstract word here. It is the shield. It's the force that's preventing one thing from connecting with another, enforcing that separation from a potential action. Okay, to make absolutely sure this is crystal clear, let's tackle 2 really common points of confusion. Think of this as a quick vibe check to really sharpen your instincts. First up, made of versus made from. It's actually really simple. If you can still clearly see the original material, like the wood in a wooden desk, you use of. But if that material has gone through a total transformation where its original form is gone, like grapes into wine, you have to use from. Next up, off versus from. Well, off is all about an immediate, sharp, surface-level separation. Think of that thwack sound when you peel a sticker off a laptop. It's instant. From is much more focused on the distance or the journey away from the starting point. It has a sense of process, not just a single sudden moment.
Now, I want to give you one final, really powerful mental image that ties everything we've just talked about together. Let's call it the rubber band method.
Imagine you're holding a rubber band. One end is attached to a wall. That wall, that is the origin. Now, as you step back and stretch the band, the distance you create is the separation. And that tension you feel, the force pulling you back toward the wall, that represents the cause, or the reason, the connection back to the origin point. This one single image captures every single function of from.
So a quick recap. From is always about origin and separation. That one simple idea applies to time and space, to complete material makeovers, to the reasons for our judgments, and even to prevention. So here is the big takeaway. Stop translating from as just a single word. Instead, when you see it, I want you to activate that mental image. See the starting point. See the arrow launching away from it. See the rubber band stretching. The moment you start seeing the image behind the word, English becomes a much more three-dimensional language.